Dear Mayor, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity to address this issue, and I do appreciate the time you afforded. I'm aware that Ms. Thornton of the Anti-Poverty Group, Direct Intervention Reaching Everyone, Oshawa, is requesting that Council implement a bylaw to restrict anti-abortion speech and signage on public sidewalks in Oshawa. Such a law, if enacted, would blatantly violate the charter rights of Canadian citizens to freedom of expression. I have read Dyer's letter to Council, and I stand amazed at the misrepresentation of Provincial Bill 163, which was expressed in that letter. Dyer's letter misreads altogether the structure and intent of Bill 163, a bill that nonetheless also contravenes charter rights and deserves repeal by the new Conservative government under Doug Ford. We do know that elections have consequences, and let's hope that that election has consequences for Bill 163. As to Dyer's not so subtle attempt to accuse the pro-life organizers of extreme hostility, I can testify that through personal experience that any such hostility which surfaces at these sidewalk protests originates nearly exclusively from those who advocate for abortion. In 2017, I filed at least 4 complaints with Durham Regional Police for violence against my person and my signs while I was protesting abortion using graphic images. Fortunately, 2 of those 4 perpetrators were located and disciplined by police, but on every occasion of my protests, numbering in the hundreds, without exception, I am subjected to a barrage of loud and filthy, vulgar language, insults, and interference. I regularly protest against abortion on the streets of Oshawa, perhaps more so than any other pro-life individual. And I am well acquainted with the tactics used by pro-abortion individuals, such as Christine Thornton, to block our message from reaching the eyes and ears of local citizens. I will give Ms. Thornton due credit for her heartfelt desire and advocacy in helping vulnerable groups of low-income and homeless people in our region. It is so very ironic, though, that in a recent newspaper article, she described her fight for tenant rights as being fundamentally about human rights. And then she boldly asked the question, at the end of the day, what is the value of human life? Allow me to answer that question, Ms. Thornton, from the point of view of a fellow human being. Every human life, regardless of location, age, size, or disability, deserves to be fully respected and protected, more so when that human life is completely vulnerable and defenseless, as in the case of an unborn baby. I'd like to share the contents of a letter which I wrote last year to the Oshawa Municipal Law Enforcement Office in response to what I consider to be antagonism by certain authorities directed towards my sign-carrying activities. I believe it will help the Oshawa councillors to understand better the dynamics of pro-life protest so that the charter rights of all Canadians can be duly preserved. Names which appeared in my letter have been changed for reasons of privacy. Dear Mr. X, on Saturday past, at the intersection of Harmony Road and Taunton Road, I was standing on the northwest corner, as I often do on Saturdays, displaying anti-abortion signs. Normally, there are a number of passers-by who object to my signage. One sign in particular bears a graphic image of an aborted child. Each time I hold an anti-abortion protest, I ensure that the event is filmed by video camera, because in the past I've had to provide video footage to police in the case of assaults and damages to my signs. Last Saturday, a municipal law enforcement officer, Mr. Zed, approached me and informed me that due to a complaint about the offensive nature of my sign, he was required to investigate. I do have the video and audio portions of our conversation should it ever become necessary to disclose the substance of our conversations on that day. Several months ago, I had a visit from 2 other municipal law enforcement officials, both women who were also investigating complaints made on that particular Saturday. They asked me to remove my signs because they were violating bylaws. Initially, they told me my signs were obstructing the view of traffic, but clearly I responded that was impossible. It was plainly evident from the layout of the intersection that my signs in relation to traffic could not have obstructed any driver's view of the road.
Excuse me, sir, you must wrap up.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll move along that. I went on to say that there is, in fact, right now a similar court case in the works in the city of Peterborough, and the court has weighed in on the side of charter rights of free expression. Furthermore, the Kingston Police Department efficiently dealt with a series of complaints about graphic abortion pictures in 2015 with a Facebook posting to the public that said the following. This is from the Kingston Police Department. We are receiving numerous calls regarding pro-life or anti-abortion protests happening around the city. We are aware of the activity and the graphic nature of the images on display. To this end, we have sought a legal opinion from the Kingston Crown Attorney, which advises that this conduct is not an offense under law and is protected by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, specifically freedom of expression. We are aware that some may find these protests offensive, but we would kindly ask that you refrain from calling police to report.
Okay, sir, your time's up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Members of council, questions to the delegation? Seeing none, thank you for your delegation.
Thank you very much.
Our next delegation is Tamara Leclerc.